You're now listening to episode 88 of Signed In, an Xbox 360 podcast, recorded on March 3rd, 2012. Find us online at signedinpodcast.com. Everybody, welcome back to Signed In. I am Jeremy Superfro33.
I'm Craig Profdresser.
And I'm Sean Shonix.
And you're the real Shonix, not a clone?
I'm not a clone of...
Oh, that's pre-show. Nobody knows about that.
Well, actually...
That's inside.
Which is really weird, now that you mentioned it, because I have this running thing at work where there's the couple regulars that they said, you're here all the time. And I said, well, I'm clone number 3. And they always ask me now when they see me. That's weird that you brought that up.
And you mean the
cool.
strip club, right?
Yes, where I work, yes.
That you work at?
Because they're like, you're here a lot.
Do Chippendale still exist?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure. I don't know. I'm part of the Thunder from Down Under.
There you go.
I just have to use an accent when I'm talking to the
Give
client.
me an Australian accent.
If you're paying me.
Oh, you can only do it for pay.
Well, yeah.
You should get little tags
Barbie.
and hang them around your neck with like numbers on them, like number 3.
Your good day for pay.
Change them around.
Good day.
Good day for pay.
I said Barbie. Shrimp on the Barbie. No.
But it's not, that's just a saying.
I don't think you want to associate being nude with barbecuing things.
Maybe.
Or shrimp. Or throwing it on there. Okay, let's get moving.
It's bad all around.
That was probably the worst analogy ever.
This is why I like to mention things that nobody knows about, because then it leads to awesome.
It does.
How are you guys doing?
Doing okay.
Awesome.
I'm all right.
Yeah?
Yeah. A clone
And
number
yourself?
2.
I'm okay. I'm just doing okay.
Just okay.
Yeah.
We're very descriptive here.
Not too exciting.
No.
Not been a lot going on.
I've been pretty busy, so with work and everything. Yeah.
The Thunder from Down Under.
Yes, exactly.
You got fucking clones. What are you worried about?
I got to pay for these G-strings somehow.
Oh, yikes.
Ladies like the gold
You know,
ones.
and when you say I got to pay for these G-strings, you don't have to show us.
No, I pulled
Like you just did.
totally pulled it out.
You could just tell us. We don't have to see it. All right.
Okay.
Well, how about some video games? Because we did play some of those in the
Yes,
last week.
that's true.
So I've got some Alan Wake's American Nightmare to talk about, as well as I'm going to go old school and talk about some of the DLC from Alan Wake that we need to talk
good.
about.
Nice. Cool. Yeah, excellent.
Those episodes. And a couple of disc games that I think we're all going to be included in. I got Syndicate. And then you guys got some SSX, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Me too.
Correct.
A little bit of SSX.
In addition, for XBLA, got a little bit of follow-up on Warp. Gotham City Impostors, I tried that out.
Cool.
Nice.
Indie game-wise, we've only got the one, but and it's a bit of a callback. But seriously, you might think Awesome Games Studios sponsors us or something with how much I talk about Oozi on this damn show.
Do they? Is there a secret pay
I wish.
under the table stuff going on?
But they only charge 80 points per chapter, so probably not.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
probably can't afford it.
I just thought maybe you had a hookup with them that we don't know about.
I do. They feed me cheat codes so I can get through their game.
All right.
Nice.
Maybe not the best system, but I also have a little DLC going way back. This is probably almost a year old now, isn't it? Did it come out last spring?
I don't know what you're talking about.
World of Keflings.
Oh, that's
It came
right.
From
No,
outer space.
no, that's just
during
within the last couple of months.
Oh, okay. Really?
if even.
Oh, okay.
I think it was really relatively soon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Sure. I believe you.
Like since December, maybe.
I don't think it was that soon.
Ah, okay.
Why
do I know?
Why don't we just sit here and speculate with
last year
absolutely no
sometime.
way to judge whether or not we're
Because
correct?
I like people at home that do know yelling at us and just like getting like.
and be like, move on.
No, I like them.
20th.
I like them getting complete fervor about these. Why do I listen to this fucking podcast? These guys don't know anything. Idiots.
November 12th.
God,
I bought it. Day of release.
I really like that idea.
Yeah, okay.
So then we just sit there and go.
I'm aboard.
I don't
with
know.
that.
Was it December? It could have been.
Yeah,
November.
I was thinking it was in like August, like way back then. I don't
Maybe.
know.
You know, here's the other problem: is time is flying.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's quite possible, and so now I don't want to know
And
that.
see, I kind of overjudge time sometimes. I'm like, well, it feels like it was just 3 months ago, so I'll double that.
All right. Well, I think we've made plenty of folks at home angry already. So
Mission accomplished.
we're done.
Achievement unlocked.
We're done.
Awesome. I don't have much for games, so we can move on.
Should we just
Are you
jump?
shamed by this?
Yeah, it's one of those. I got disc games in. I got disc games in, so that was good.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, it'll be a back end heavy show.
Yes.
which is how I like them. Heavy on the back end.
That's right. Well, let's speed through the indie game since we only have the one in here. Oozi Earth Adventure. It turns out I hadn't even finished the first episode as I was playing through. And so I've been playing that. I talked about it before. It's from Awesome Game Studios. They have 3 episodes out now. Each one's only 80 Microsoft points. And they've updated them because I had to re-download them, and they're looking supreme. It's got the HD graphics, and it's all like hand-drawn characters and stuff, and the animation's really smooth, and it's a really nice platformer. What's nice is that it's very simple in the totality of it. So if you're not a very good platformer player, then you could probably still get through a lot of it. But if you want to explore everywhere and grab all the little stars and look for, because in the second chapter they introduce these collectible stars, and if you get all 5 collectible stars from each level, then you unlock an extra challenge level, because there are challenge levels and arcade levels as well.
Wow.
I haven't even played those. I'm just playing through the story.
Nice.
And I've gotten all the way to the boss at the end of the second episode, and I can't quite get past him, and it's mostly because of the lava. Lava is instant death. Yeah, I know. I get really close, but then the lava gets me. And but what's nice is that if I just get really frustrated with it, I can just start episode 3 and pretend that I beat the boss.
There you go. Exactly. Who cares?
So it's a spectacular game. It's a steal. I've put hours into these games. Like even just playing through the story, it's at least a couple hours just to get through those 5 levels and then a boss level at the end.
And if you don't finish it, there's no achievement, so nobody will ever know that you're faking it.
Right.
Like they could find out with me and look at and know I'm a total poser.
I can just
look at my gamer tag.
I could just look at the images they have in the marketplace and predict what sorts of things are going to happen. Oh yeah, this stuff totally happens, and it was awesome.
So I moved on to 3 because I mastered 2.
But it really is a very, very good platformer, and for a very cheap price.
Cool.
And I don't know if episode 3 is the last one. It looks like it could be, but because I don't know, it keeps progressing, like in terms of like the complexity of the enemies and the levels as well. So, but a lot of fun, and I'm still enjoying the hell out of it.
Awesome.
Good. Cool.
I don't have any indie games, as I mentioned before.
I did down. I'm not going to talk. I'm going to talk about real quick because I'm jealous. I'm jealous that anyone that got to play the game, because I wanted to play it.
What if it's terrible?
And I totally throwed it up and I downloaded it. But
I'm right here, dude.
I know. I'm sorry. I had to say it. Someone paid me. But
you got a sponsor?
Yeah. Fuck you guys. You guys got like these side deals. What is going on?
What am I supposed to do?
I get nothing for nobody.
I'm on 2 shows.
Get a lot of crap from us.
That's true.
But Space Command came out, and I believe it was for 80 points, but it was a mixture of Space Invaders and Missile Command.
Oh, really?
I never got to play it. I saw the
I.
screens for it, and it looks really, really cool. So I
must
go out and try that out.
Is the cover art kind of crappy?
It does. It actually looks like a cabinet arcade game just standing there.
Oh, I did see that one.
Yeah,
but I didn't look at it.
Yeah,
because I was like, ugh.
But then you go and look at the
work
main
on your
screens,
cover art, people,
and it's totally exactly. No, that's
well, maybe the cover art was supposed to elicit the old school
right
arcade feel, and I just
should have made it look like a 2600. Cover art.
Maybe,
is what they should have done.
I agree.
What am I going to... I'm not a developer.
So maybe next episode
I thought maybe I had to
about
it. So on this arcade cabinet.
So tune in next episode.
There's another quarter jammed. God damn it. Damn kids.
The guy with the keys that shows up.
I looked at the indie game marketplace and nothing grabbed my eye, but I did see about 7 new titles that all had zombie in it. And that is like kind of a turnoff for me at this point anyway. So
it's a resurgence of zombies. They must have woke up from the thaw of the winter or something. I don't know.
I'd say the resurgence from the last 3 years that they've been
there was a little
drought.
There was a little drought there for a little bit.
It's true.
A little bit.
You guys still got some games that you liked that you can go back to, right?
Oh yeah,
I've got a library built up, like I've mentioned before.
You're talking to me?
Yeah.
Like I got games that I don't know.
Evil Quest.
Let me see. Let's see if there's anything on my XBLA that I haven't finished. Oh, everything in the last year and a half. Because I'm terrible.
Yeah.
That should have been your New Year's resolution.
I should have many New Year's resolutions, and stopping this should have been one of them.
I'm all about raising my gamer score on my Xbox, through just by putting games in. Even if I play an hour of it, but I just keep raising what my gamer score should be. So I
like your percent. Your actual game score increases in minor increments, but your ratio drops massively.
Yeah, so I'm like, look at that. So I got a lot to gain.
Your potential number is what you are now increasing. That's what you're going by.
That's the new thing.
Awesome. Well, then mine is like 1 billion.
I just keep putting games in.
That was awesome.
Play an hour, and then I'm like, oh, I should have that many points.
I've got. You know what my New Year's resolution was? To give up the ghost on my issue with like having the odd number.
Like
I've gotten over it. I don't even care anymore.
Good.
Whatever. And maybe it's because I hardly get any gamer score anymore because I don't fucking play anything. But I've gotten over it. I don't care. Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I do kind of care a little bit. I'm trying. That's what counts, right?
Baby steps.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I love stepping on babies.
So they just make it so pillowy and cushiony.
I know, right?
I mean, like their skulls aren't even hard yet.
No,
it's nice.
We're terrible. But the records show that Craig went too far on that one. Usually doesn't happen, but
I like to get buried up.
Yeah. When it comes to babies, no holds barred for Craig.
Exactly.
Fuck them.
All right. So XBLA.
Yeah, let's do that.
All right. Follow up for Warp. I got through the rest of the game and achieved most of the achievements. There's one achievement that is like in the challenges. If a friend of someone on your friends list gets gold, then you have to try and beat that gold score. Which is hard because none of my friends have gotten gold. At least the last time I checked. Get on that, people. And then also,
so what you're
and then
saying
also
your friends suck.
And then also, I nailed some really good gold scores. And then as I was just playing through, because you can get like in-game boosts, the grubs that you use to upgrade. I don't think I talked about upgrading on the last show, but you can upgrade.
I think we did a little bit.
Maybe
you said you got the grubs to upgrade
because you were saying some of the upgrades that you should go for.
Yeah. And so. In the challenges as you're playing through the game, you can earn extra grubs by doing that. So I was going for that, and then I got really good scores, and then I'm like, oh shit, this is going to make that really hard.
Yeah, that's
although maybe I don't have to beat my own gold score. Like if somebody gets gold and it's under mine, and then I play again and I get gold,
maybe,
but it's at least faster than theirs or something. I
guess I don't know.
Anyway,
it doesn't matter because none of your friends are good enough to get there.
Exactly.
You got to find the developer, friend him or her,
and
good catch.
But members of the forums may have seen my little letter to Trapdoor.
I did, so I was like excited. I'm like, well, I guess there's gonna be more Warp on the next episode.
Because I had been playing through. I played through the game like several times, like 4 or 5 times, because
like you do.
As I mentioned, but as I mentioned last time, I had been spending like 4 or 5 hours on the game so far. But I mentioned there was an achievement to beating it in an hour 15. And so you can actually go through really quickly if you know what you're doing and you skip a lot of stuff and you're not looking for collectibles and that sort of deal. And so I was trying to master that, and it's not that bad. It's just, you do notice how the cracks start to show when you're trying to speed through a game.
Yeah.
And so it's like... the controls aren't exactly always accurate in terms of what direction you want to go, and it's like sometimes because it's got an overhead view, but it's not like 100% over the top. It's kind of that slight angle, and so like walls and stuff can get in the way, and sometimes you can't really see where your target is pointing. So you think it's like, I'm going to jump into this guard with a gun and then blow him up. And then you jump and you're like right in front of him. So he shotguns you in the face.
I was having that problem just through the demo where it was kind of hard to line up where I was jumping. And sometimes I would think I'm okay. And then I'm not.
It was a little easier the first time I was playing because I was taking my time with it. But definitely when I'm speeding through. And it's still pretty good. It's just there are a few cracks, and I think I mentioned a boss battle last time that was a pain, and it's still a little bit of a pain. I've kind of worked it out. A good way to do it. It's like this dude has this water shield around him, and he runs up and he tries to smash you and punch you, but you have to get him to punch the supports out from the ceiling instead. And there's like 6 of them. But the problem is that he doesn't really wind up until he's like practically upon you, so you have like a split-second timing to like warp out of the way. But and you kind of have to be standing still for him to try and punch you, so you kind of have to wait and then go. But it turned out okay. Except there are these barrels for you to hide in, but hiding in the barrel is dumb because it's difficult. I think they want you to use the echoes and all of that, but it didn't really work out for me. I was like, this is more difficult doing this. It's just easier to just stand there and wait for him to come punch me. So, because when you echo, then you're standing in one spot. And so if he happens to see you, there'll be times I'm walking my echo like right in front of him, but then he sees me and goes straight towards me. I'm like, holy shit, this fucking sucks. Because then I have to cancel the echo and then get my ass out of there, and usually he gets me anyway. But then you have to fight this guy, spoiler, fight this guy again at the end of the game, and it is total ass. The last level is total ass anyway. I'm going to spoil a little bit here. Well, because you're trying to escape this lab, you know that.
Right.
And it's underwater, you know that. And so, obviously, one of the ways that you could escape an underwater lab?
Swim.
Except you die in water.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Make the lab rise?
No, good guess.
Oh, man.
Transportation underwater.
Submarine.
There you go, submarine. So
I didn't know there was a sub available. I gotta have this information ahead of time.
Well, that's the answer.
Oh.
He can't give you the
Damn
answer.
it was a logic problem.
Okay.
Come on, it's not a
torpedo.
So you're trying to escape in the submarine, and then it all goes haywire, and so it's like constantly shifting back and forth.
Yeah.
Which really messes up because you have targeting problems, and so you know. Plus, your little dot is smaller than the dude is. So if you're trying to jump over this laser as you're sliding down the floor because it just shifted again, like it's hard to judge. And well, then it'll shift back, and suddenly you're sliding backwards, and so then you jump, and then you get cut by the laser. A little frustrating, but then you get to the end boss here, and he's got like this laser that blows up barrels, and so you have to try and hit the back of him as he's rotating around, and then it's shifting back and forth, so sometimes you get caught on like a display, and so you're like, he fucking shot me because all of a sudden I couldn't walk forward anymore. And you know, and then he destroys a lot of the barriers, and then towards the end he destroys all the barriers, and it's shifting back and forth, so you have nothing to hide behind, and he's spinning around with this laser, and there's water on the floor, so
that you can't touch.
That when you touch, you don't die, but you lose your power, and you move slowly. So fucking awesome.
It doesn't kill you, but something will.
Exactly.
Really short
it's
after
like
that.
this shitstorm of like crap at the end, and that's not. I mean, that's okay because there is a pattern for a lot of it, and you know you can work with the pattern. The problem is that it's such a wide variety of things that are completely different from the way that you're playing the rest of the game. The rest of the game is like, you know, you're being stealthy and trying to sneak around things. It's a little bit more active, and then this end boss is just so passive. You're just sitting there in the barrel waiting for him to turn around long enough so that you can hit him with the back of the barrel. And then once you hit him with the back of the with a barrel in the back, then you're just hiding like completely. And I mean, it's just constant hiding and standing behind a computer console, hoping that the boat doesn't shift enough that you can't get out of the way.
It's like a battle of avoidance.
It is. And
which is really fun.
It's really frustrating because it's passive. So you spend a lot of your time just standing there hiding.
Yeah.
Like in one spot, hiding in one spot until you get a good opportunity. And then something goes haywire, and all of a sudden this barrel hits you, and then all of a sudden you're standing on top of the computer console, which you can't normally do because you can't jump in the game. And I'm like, well, fuck, now I'm getting shot by a laser because he can see me. And so it's, I don't know, it wasn't really tight enough in order to throw that much new stuff at you. And then the fact that it was very passive made me very frustrated because I didn't feel like I was in control enough for a battle. And plus, you hit him 3 times basically, and then you have to survive for like 15 seconds, just running around. Just, hey, don't die, and then it ends.
Wow.
Yeah. So the boss battles, I don't like the boss battles at all. I like going through the levels. I like stealthing through things. I like being able to choose if I want to be aggressive and kill everybody or sneak around. The upgrades are really fun. They got some really cool ones where you can like shoot out an echo, and then if it hits something, then you'll switch places with that thing. Which it's a really great thing.
Yeah,
There's
cool.
one where you can shoot and send out an echo, and then use the echo to create like a little miniature version of yourself that they'll come investigate, and then it explodes and knocks them out.
Nice.
There's lots of really cool aspects to it. It's just, I don't know. I feel like it needed a little more work on it. But so I'm not 100% thrilled with the game. I'm kind of done with it. I don't know if I get some friends who say, hey, I've got gold on some challenges. You can try that out. Then I might go back just for that. But I think I burned myself out playing it. So.
But it sounds like you got your money's worth out of it.
I did. I got $10 worth.
I mean, you played it 6 times?
In terms of time, yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe you also did that. You admittedly probably burned yourself out on it, right?
No,
By going through that many
I completely
times.
admit it, yeah.
So,
But my problem was I'm afraid if I put this aside, then I'm never going to come back to it.
Right.
True. Yeah.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's no problem.
The challenge rooms are pretty
Nothing
great.
to be worried about.
The challenge rooms are pretty great because there's a very straightforward way that you can tackle things, and that's usually going to take way too much time. And so you kind of have to really figure out, okay, how can I best use my abilities in order to
the puzzle aspect of it.
to maximize this, and some of them are really, really fun. And when you succeed at them, it's like really slick. So I like the challenge rooms a lot.
You ended up getting through it with the hour and 15.
Yeah, I did.
You got that achievement?
Oh, that was the other thing, is that the boss battle, so I kept dying. I would get there and I'd be like, great, I got 10 minutes left before, because you could check the time.
No.
And then I'd finish it and it would be like an hour 18 after I finally beat the boss. Because, as you die, that the clock continues as it reloads.
I don't know how you can do it. I don't know how you do it. Like, because I would want to murder somebody. Like, I would never even attempt it to begin with. So I don't.
Beating the game is my equivalent to murdering somebody.
Yeah, I guess.
I have murdered the game. I've conquered it.
Oh,
Destroyed the demon.
Yes, exactly.
So you're a strong man. I don't know how.
I agree.
I couldn't
Stay
do
strong.
it.
I agree, man.
Mentally strong, because I couldn't do it. I'd want to harm myself.
Especially if I got to that end and I'd be like, I got 10 minutes. Oh, I'm dead.
Yeah.
I'm never fucking touching this game again.
It's really frustrating, especially because there's not a lot of music going on, and he's just constantly shouting the same thing over and over, like the bosses.
Were you doing any shouting by any chance?
No comment.
That's
I bet there was many comments.
That sometimes is a problem I have with LBIG.
XBLIG
and XBLA
indie
games, indie games and XBLA games, is that there's no physical form to them. I mean, they're on my Xbox, but I can't like take it out of my Xbox.
You want to just like pitch it,
put it in a box, and just go whoosh, and just like go screw you. I mean, I've done that with games. I mean, I put them back in this case. And just, like,
the best you could do is just smash your hard drive, and then that's not really.
And I'm not gonna do that.
No.
That's how my other Xbox broke.
That's
That's how.
The truth is revealed. Yeah. All right, but I'm probably not going to talk about Warp again in the future.
Okay.
So there you go.
You've played it to death, literally.
Yes.
Unless the DLC comes
Play it
out,
to my
we'll see what happens.
wish to death.
Do we want to touch back on some Gotham City Impostors then, too?
Okie dokie.
Since I didn't still check it out because I didn't go check out the demo because I completely forgot about it.
Yeah, well, I was still having trouble finding the demo. Listener Rumbly Pumpkin actually sent me a message to help me out with that. Big thanks to him.
Yeah, thanks.
Where he had the same trouble.
Tell me
he had the same trouble. He couldn't find. Well, you didn't say you were having a problem finding it.
Oh, that's true. I said I was gonna, and he's like, "Well, let him figure it out."
He said he had the same trouble. He couldn't find it in the marketplace, but he went to Xbox.com and it was available in that marketplace.
Nice, okay.
And I went there, and sure enough, it was there. I don't think. Did we mention how much it was before? It's like 1,200 points.
1,200 points, yeah,
from Monolith and WB. I was going because you talked about the objectives, and I'm like, oh, objectives. I like objective-based stuff. And I went in there, and I don't know. There were objectives, but I still just got the feeling of like, the first-person shooter where, my problem was it was a little too frenetic. Like there is too much. The space was too tight for me. These are my problems. I completely admit these are not problems with the game because obviously everybody else was okay with them,
which is maybe why you had the problem.
Exactly,
everybody was too okay.
Yeah, well, and that's another problem. I'm coming into this 4 weeks after the beta came out, and so
that's where I'm worried too.
I'm the noob.
Yeah,
and so. It was like the spaces were really tight, and I liked all the elements that they were adding in there. Like the grappling hook, and people could bounce off of things, and wingsuits, and all of that. I like those elements, but it was just to my disadvantage completely.
Yeah,
and so I was just getting frustrated. And the other people with like bazookas and all this, and I'm like, I just got all these basic weapons. I don't know what to do.
Yeah, you can get the bazooka right off the bat.
I'm sure.
You just got to pick a
different loadout. loadouts.
Different loadout. They had a new DLC a free DLC that popped up for it. And since I talked about it on the last show, and that brought in a new map, some new looks, like new skins and whatnots. The map is pretty good. It's a part of Wayne Tower. It's like one of the. So if you fall off, you're dead. Yeah. I really like that map. That one gets vetoed a lot, but I enjoy it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Well, there's a lot of places
maybe
where you can fall.
People don't have their sniper spots picked out already.
And really, there isn't too many high, because all the high places are. If you go there, then there's nowhere to shoot because everything's inside. I've also, the matchmaking I'm still having a problem with, because I kind of stayed away from it because they were having the bug issue that I mentioned on the last show.
And the first match I went into, it filled up a room, but everyone was listed as like level 1.
Yep.
But they all, most people had points. I'm like, oh, this looks weird. And then all of a sudden that room shut down, and then I had to go into a new room. I'm like, hope it didn't screw those fuckers over.
And that's something I've noticed with the game. And there's some nights where I'll have a good run of it, and then there's nights where the server is just, I don't know if it's just getting bogged down or if there's a problem with it, because that's something has occurred where I did one game, I even got points for it, where I did a game where I was by myself.
What?
Yeah, I know, and they gave me points at the end of it.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, but
did you win?
Well, all I had to do was get the fumigators.
Right.
Yeah, I lost. I fell off the building
multiple times. I just couldn't figure it out.
I was like, that shadow, and I jumped, which I've been known to do. But I like the DLC for it. Yeah. It's not a game for everybody, but I'm having a lot of fun with it.
Yeah,
I think the tight maps is what I like about it.
Yeah,
because I don't wander off.
I appreciated the elements out of it. Like, I thought it was cool that it was very frenetic, and I liked the sort of flavor of everything. Yeah. Like, the weapons are all kind of goofy, and I liked it in concept. I was just not having a lot of fun with it, and I think it's just because I'm terrible at these kinds of games. And so, jumping in with a bunch of people who are very seasoned, and it seemed to have a lot of people still playing, so that's a good sign.
Yeah, that is good, because I haven't seen, I haven't been able to check it out myself yet, so I don't know what that whole area's been like, or the the community's been for it, but I'm glad to hear that it's at least thriving. Still,
I thought it was cool. I completely admit that any disapproval I have of it is my own fault.
I have that same concern. I do want to check it out still just to see what it's doing, but I'm worried about those kind of games when I jump in that I'm still so far behind at this point that I'm not going to be able to get in and have fun, because I'll just get frustrated right away.
They do have a training, which was nice, which allowed you to kind of, and that doesn't even take off the 60 minutes you get to play in the demo.
Okay.
Cool. So the training was nice, but I was all leisurely as I was doing it, and then I get in there, I'm like, holy shit, things are going on.
Yeah, and I think that touches back with that. The matchmaking's weird on it. I don't get it, because you'll have a crew of 90s and 80s. I mean, I was in one where I was with a bunch of high numbers, and then the people were against, the highest number they had was 25, and I was in rooms with 90s.
But was there also some really low level people, ones and twos or
that's
something?
the thing. It wasn't well matched at all. All the high tier, and maybe they were playing in a party, and I was lucky enough to be with them at the time. So I just found that's been a ongoing problem with it, where I've noticed
the matching's not very
because you'll get ones and twos that are hanging out with 20s, and then you have the other ones that's all 50 and higher.
That might be
really weird.
I mean, that might be on account of parties instead of matchmaking itself.
Right.
And I know that was the big thing about the DLC, was just allowing people to jump into games now, because that was one of the things that you couldn't do. You couldn't just go into a game as it was in progress.
Oh, I didn't know you could do that now.
So now, and I think that's a problem that they're having with the server too, because there's sometimes that problem will hiccup. Is all of a sudden the game stalls out, and then
there's a glitch in the matrix.
Yeah, and you're lost connection with the server. I'm like, you jerk! I killed 2 people. I
was actually doing something.
I killed 2 people that round,
and one of them wasn't me.
I know. I just grab fumigators. That's all I do.
I did
set up bear traps.
I did the different classes and stuff, and the little loadouts that they had. There's one type of person who gets a shuriken or whatever, and it can auto lock on people, which was very good, because I was kept dying in this room. I was playing the gas objective one, and there was one gas container that was in this room, and people kept hiding, and I couldn't spot anybody ever. But then I would hold down the bumper button to do the shuriken, and it would lock on the people. I'm like, there's a dude up there, and I fucking shoot up there instead.
I think it's a really good game if you have some friends playing because it just will allow you to select your loadouts to really benefit the game. I switched to my sniffer, and that's a little attachment you put on your gun that sniffs out the enemies.
Oh, yeah?
So then they pop up on your screen. I don't know why they call it the sniffer. But they...
The booty sniffer.
What? Booty sniffer. So then we work that way, and you work together. So I don't know. I've enjoyed it more and more when I play it, but
good.
I can see where it'd be a little overwhelming at first.
And I
kind of wish I had jumped in on the beta where I felt like everyone was kind of more on par, and I wouldn't feel so much like I just have this limited amount of time.
It does help me to know that you own it though, because now I feel like if I like it and want to play, at least I'll have somebody that I can jump in and play with right away that I know. So
and the customization in it and all that kind of stuff, I absolutely fell in love with that thing. It's changing my loadouts. All my custom loadout characters are Wildcat characters. So the only person I haven't got is Void. And no, I got a Voodoo.
What a nerd!
I don't have Void, but I got Grifter, Warblade, Maul, because Maul's my big giant guy.
Yeah,
Warblade's my little sniper, and he carries a sword and stuff.
Nice. Nerd.
I am a nerd. It's really bad, actually. Okay, let's move on.
All right. Should we talk about some Alan Wake?
Yes.
Is that good?
Yeah.
So, American Nightmare came out last week. Another part of the house party that's going on right now with XBLA. And I was very interested in it. But before I did that, I wanted to go back and touch on the Alan Wake DLC that I never played.
That's good that you did. You would probably freak out if you hadn't.
Yeah, well, I think I would have been okay.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. I think I would have been okay. But I liked... Here's the thing. I think there is a very big disconnect between what this new XBLA game is doing and what the original Alan Wake did.
Yes.
And I think
there definitely is.
And I think that... and that doesn't mean I didn't enjoy it. But
from what I've heard, that transition happens through the DLC, essentially.
It kind of does. I don't know. I wasn't grasping that.
Okay.
The DLC I played for the Alan Wake game... I went back and played the 2 episodes that they had, The Signal and The Writer. Have you guys played either of those?
No.
Okay. No. They definitely fit a lot more into Alan Wake proper than this XBLA offering does. This is almost just like a side thing that I really don't... and maybe we're not supposed to know yet how it fits into the overall Alan Wake story, like, succinctly. Yeah. There's a little bit of question that's left with me with maybe how, why.
Didn't the writer introduce Mr. Scratch?
Well, the original Alan Wake did, right? They talked about Mr. Scratch.
Yeah, kind of.
It kind of makes me think back. Here's the thing.
It's been a long time since I played it.
Exactly. So I went out and I got, because I never purchased Alan Wake, I rented it. And so I think I got The Signal through that rental.
Yeah.
And I got the writer through Twitter back in the day.
Oh, yeah?
Like when they offered that. So I had them, but I never played them.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'll just rent it again someday and pick it up. Even though I love the game.
Yeah.
So I went out and I rented it, and I just played through those 2 in like a couple of days or a day. And I enjoyed them quite a bit. I love the stuff they were doing with The Signal and The Writer, and it was a lot of fun to go back into that world, and I kind of had forgotten a lot of the mythology of the whole Alan Wake story, and it reminded me of us doing our private chat and like talking through that stuff, and that was a ton of fun. Like, I love... It got me into that mode again of thinking about, like, what does all of this mean and what's going on, and, like, you know, the darkness taking over and all this stuff with Alan. And so The Signal is basically Alan being enveloped into the darkness, and so now instead of being in the normal situation that he was running through the town and, like, you know, trying to overcome the darkness, he's now trapped inside of it. So you're basically playing through a surreal version of the world.
Don't you build things out of the words like you do towards the end
exactly
of the game?
And so the both of those episodes, everything has the words all around, like so there'll be like tools or like equipment or whatever, you know, weapons, and you would have to shine your light on them to make it the actual items appear, because in those 2 DLC chapters you're basically playing in the story. Which is really well done, and I kind of like that aspect of the closing of Alan Wake. Spoiler there for everybody, but I mean, it's a couple of years old now. I don't know what to tell you. There's going to be some spoilers too when we're talking, because I don't really think there's any way to talk about these without talking about some of the story elements. So if you do want to like miss that, probably skip ahead. We do show notes. Just look at the times. Skip to the next time. But so playing through The Signal and The Writer, I loved it. I loved that they did those words and the way that they had the environment feel like a story that was playing out or that you were writing. There was a nice little cliffhanger ending at the end of Signal, jumping right into the writer after that, and completing that, going up to the end.
Nice.
And it gave an awesome little end at the end of the writer, which made me feel like, oh, we're moving on with the story, because, you know, it closes with just an awesome him starting a new story called The Return. And I'm like, well, this is going to be great. And then... you know, a couple more things about that DLC. There were just a couple elements when you were walking through, like, the surreal version of the previous game, basically, where they kind of mix with some of the stuff. The layouts are a little different. There's a couple really epic moments that they play on where you go into certain areas that are one thing, and then it quickly changes to another.
Cool.
There's things that they do with the environment that is really, really awesome. I highly recommend checking out those games. And you know, even with using some of those elements from the first game, where the music, but morphing it a little bit and like twisting it. And so, you know, the Children of the Elder God, that song that they had from the first game, which kind of epic moment, obviously, you know, probably the biggest epic moment in that game. Running into that again in the DLC, but having it be like bastardized and like morphed and twisted a little bit was just awesome.
That's cool.
So it was a really neat moment, and I liked it a lot. But so I finished that, and then I jumped into the demo for American Nightmare.
Right. And so, just to kind of get a setup here, so Alan Wake spent a time writing for the TV show Night Springs, which was one of my favorite parts of the original game, actually, was finding those little episodes. And so this is basically Alan trapped in one of his stories for Night Springs.
Yeah, how it opens up is Barry's sleeping in a hotel.
Yes.
He's now the tour manager for the Old Gods of Asgard.
Yeah.
And so you see that, you know, all that stuff. And then he's sleeping in a hotel bed, and it has an episode of Night Springs on the TV, which then goes into the game.
Nice.
And it's written by Alan Wake, but it's starring Alan Wake.
Right. And it has like a Twilight Zone narrator over the top, and
very cool.
Like all the Night Springs stuff.
Really kind of fun,
Yeah. So that's why I saw, you know, you were online on our forums talking about you'd play through the demo, and it didn't really trip your trigger. So I'm curious, because I know you love the Night Springs part.
If you want to jump into this right now, so the setup I loved, and you know, knowing that it was going to be a Night Springs episode, I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
And I guess I was going into it thinking, you know, hoping that it would be like Alan Wake, and
right.
And I was thinking of before I started it, I was thinking of Code Zero for Dead Rising 2, and how fun that was, because it was Dead Rising 2. I mean, it was like a miniature version of Dead Rising.
Yeah. Right.
And and I think the problem with Alan Wake, my problem with Alan Wake American Nightmare,
the definitive problem,
is that it is more like Dead Rising 2 than it is like Alan Wake. I think it feel you know what
different. Yeah, it is.
You know what
different.
would have worked is if it was like Alan Wake once wrote a video game, and this is the video game, because if it wears its video game garb a little more transparently than I thought the original game did. Like, you have these chests that, as you collect the manuscript pages, you can unlock for bigger weapons and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay. and you know, the people you talk to aren't real people. And admittedly, they're supposed to be people in a script, but they don't even feel like people from a even cheesy TV show. They feel like exposition givers. It's like, talk to this person so they can do this for you.
Right.
And so
I agree with you. I think that those are weaknesses of this game.
And that was the thing. And so I didn't feel the same compulsion to kind of keep going through. It wasn't bad. It wasn't like I was getting frustrated with the game. It's just that it felt just like a game, you know?
Yeah, and I think that's what maybe my issue was too. Before we talk about the gameplay, just as far as like our impressions of that stuff, it felt, like I said, that the signal and the writer were completely in the narrative of Alan Wake.
Right.
This feels like a complete sidestep to the narrative. It's like, oh, well, this other stuff's happening, but this is happening.
Right.
And I really don't know where it fits in. And they don't really explain where it fits in. Like, there's no, you know, Barry is there, so you know, obviously it's in the regular Alan Wake world,
right.
And then you go into this TV where it feels like Alan Wake's trapped inside of an episode.
Yeah,
that he wrote.
It does have that feeling, and so almost Twilight Zone-y itself,
right? And then, you know, and they kind of end with the fact that they give maybe an option where he's coming out of it, like this is how he's returning to the world, like this is his escape from the darkness.
Okay.
But that's not really that clear.
Sure.
So it's almost like I need another game or something to explain like where this is happening
Alan
or
Wake
how it's
2,
fitting in. Right, exactly. And if that's what they're working towards, then okay. But on its own merits, it's kind of hard to like piece in and like it's just not a tight narrative like the first game had.
Right. It was more, run around, shoot the bad guys, fetch these things, drop them off at this place.
And while they have Mr. Scratch running around in there being your adversary,
that felt really disconnected from.
And he's talking about, I'm taking your place. It's been 2 years basically. What you're finding out through the course of the story is that it's been 2 years that Alan's been missing.
I didn't realize he was in the real world. See, I didn't even catch that.
Yeah, see, I think it's like him talking to Alan about how the things he's done in the real world.
Now you mentioned that.
And he's going to go take Alice.
People. And,
exactly. And so it's really weird how it fits in. It's just really disjointed, I feel.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's really odd.
So it being on the arcade marketplace kind of fits the bill then?
I think so.
In a sense, that's the kind of tone that it's given to the game compared to the first.
Yeah, a little more arcadey, I suppose. Yeah,
in that sense.
Another thing is that who are they? The Taken? Is that what they're called? The Taken weren't really as creepy as they used to be. Like I remember in the game, I was like constantly fearing that there would be someone coming out of the shadows at me. And here it feels a little more straightforward. It's like, oh, here comes like 12 of these guys.
It is.
I got to do this like I always do.
And I will say it's much easier.
Yeah,
it is.
I agree.
It is,
I agree as well.
Like so far beyond easier than the first game and any of those DLC offerings.
Yeah.
Because it is like that. It's you walk in and there's going to be 6 set people, and then you're going to get the slowdown when all of them are dead.
Right.
It's going to do the slowdown, slow motion thing, and let you know that everything's cleared.
Right.
And until you get to another area that unlocks more people that like are assigned to that area.
Again,
in the first game, it felt like they were nonstop coming at you.
And again, I think it feels like it's wearing its video game.
Yes. And I think that was
on its sleeve.
And I really think it was a conscious decision to try and make it more action adventure oriented.
Oh, I think so too, because it's also got an arcade mode, I guess, or something like that.
It does.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I hear that's actually very good. Like that's
we'll talk about that in a minute.
From some people, they thought that was very good.
Yeah.
So,
it's much easier. It's things like you're walking into you always have these ammo dumps.
Yeah. Yes,
that are just like boxes on the wall,
everything.
And they refill all of your ammo of your ammo, your health. No, not your health.
No, not your health?
But your flashlight batteries.
Oh, your flashlight batteries, that's right.
Your health is now it's the same, where it's the light post things.
Oh, yeah.
But after you walk under them, they basically go out
turn
for
off
a little
for
bit.
a little bit, but then they turn back on.
Yeah, and you have 3 health bars instead of like the refilling health automatically over time. So you lose health, and the only way you can get it back is going in the light sections.
Right.
Which I played this entire game, like 6 hours worth. I died 1 time.
Weird.
Wow.
I mean, it's just heads and shoulders above the other games in level of like its easiness and like the difficulty level.
Right.
There is no selectable difficulty level to begin with.
Right.
It's all just at one level.
Right.
The enemies in general just are easier too. You don't have the difference in like flashlights now where they would build up over time. It's just the one, which is fine because I kind of don't need.
Yeah.
It was just, I think, an arbitrary way for them to like make you more powerful.
Yeah,
as the game went
show
along.
some progress.
And they didn't need it in this game.
No.
So.
There are a few new enemies like that dude who splits when you shine the light on him.
Yeah, he splits into 2, and then you shine the light on him. If you don't kill him fast enough, he splits those into 2. So basically, they multiply.
Yeah.
No,
but then they only take like 1 hit.
Jamie Madrox is in the house.
And they fixed some things.
I should have played this
along the lines of it being easier. One of the big things I had a problem with in the original game was those damn flock of birds.
Yeah.
Oh, are they still there?
They're still there, but now they don't attack you like that.
Oh.
They're basically a flock of birds that turn into a guy.
Oh,
and then
okay.
if you shine your light on him long enough or leave him for long enough, he goes back into birds and flies away. But the birds never hurt you.
Okay.
Cool.
So you don't have them swooping in from angles you can't see, which was always a big problem.
Those were kind of a pain,
game.
especially like those times where you're riding in the mine carts and stuff. Oh, God.
So they don't really affect you anymore.
Yeah.
There's like new, bigger guys that have these buzzsaws that come after you.
Yeah.
They just take a lot of damage. They don't really do anything. I never got hit by one once.
And this is
just like so much.
And this is why I was saying it felt more like Dead Rising 2.
Yeah.
Or even a Resident Evil game, The enemies didn't feel... They felt a little more stock characters.
Right. And they beefed up along those lines, too. They beefed up your running. So now you can run pretty much.
I couldn't remember if you could do that in the first game or not.
You could run in the first game, but you got tired really quick.
Yeah.
This game, you can run like 30, 40 seconds and not get tired.
Really? Wow.
It's ridiculous.
Nice.
Yeah, it's quite a while.
So he must have been working out. I don't know. But
it is a very arcadey sounding feel to it.
It is.
Yeah.
Did it have the mini-map in the first game? I can't even remember.
Yeah, I don't think that they did.
Because American Nightmare has a mini map that shows you where you're supposed to go and where manuscript pages are.
I think it did, but it didn't show you those things.
Yeah, okay, that one makes
because in the signal, I remember you were following the GPS thing, and I think it told you on your map where you were supposed to be going. So
yeah, but
I think
if you see a question mark, there's going to be like a
page.
manuscript page. There,
yeah,
so.
and the running, as I was going to say before, with the running, it needed that in the first game because that added to the panic of you were getting swarmed, so you couldn't just run away.
Right.
In this game, you can run away from everything, but you don't need to. So it's almost like opposite.
Yeah.
Because you can take everything out easily enough because there's ammo everywhere.
Right.
And the enemies don't take much damage. There's not many of them. They're an infinite end to them.
Yeah.
Or a finite end to them. Not an infinite spawning thing.
There are infinite numbers of endings.
So it's just like everything adds together to be just an easier experience, which it was still fun. I had a blast doing it.
And I understand that sort of mentality when you're releasing it as an arcade game.
Right.
And that makes a lot of sense to me. And it's got the arcade, mode as well. And so, if you want more challenge, I'm guessing that's where the challenge kind of comes in.
Yeah, the arcade mode's really hard.
Is it?
I really
Maybe
think
just got soft playing the regular game.
It could be. It's not. I mean, I got through them.
Yeah.
But I didn't have a ton of fun. It is very panicky. You are very limited in your ammo there because you're running around in between waves, and it takes a couple waves for them to restock the ammo dump.
Sure.
So that it was fun. It was a lot more resourcefulness that required for me, and so that aspect was fun of it. But I do think there was a huge opportunity to have that be a co-op experience in this, where you had multiple people, because it almost felt like Red Dead when you would have the zombie mode and how hard that got really quickly. Now imagine doing that by yourself. It's not quite at that level of difficulty, but it's just like it would be
kind of fun. I mean,
it'd be fun.
I was thinking of the Aliens versus Predator. Some of the maps had a lot of shadows and stuff, and so there was 4 dudes standing in the center with their flashlights trying to find where the aliens were creeping in from, and that was a lot of fun.
So it would. I get the idea of the survival thing because you're surviving overnight until dawn, and you basically it's a 10-minute increment, and seeing how high you can get your score, and you can increase your multiplier by killing enemies and by dodging. So when you hit your bumper button to run, it does the dodge right away. So if you get hit, it reduces your multiplier back down to 0, and you start over again. So it's all just basically score achievement, but I think it would be just so much more fun experience if you could do it with multiple players, and I don't know why they didn't include that. I guess that's probably a whole other can of worms you don't want to get into if you don't have it at all on there. But it just seems like a lost opportunity, in my opinion. So I've had fun with it, but it just seems like some of those get a little much. And maybe, for some people, they're going to miss that panic from the regular game. So maybe that's where they're getting that from, and that's where that enjoyment's coming. I did want to mention the manuscript pages. They are a lot easier to see now because they put this huge glowing light on them. So you can see them from everywhere.
Nice.
It also seems like they're actually scattered around, whereas in the main game when you would have those manuscript pages, you really didn't. There was all this open area, but there was no benefit of going around and looking because there was usually nothing to find there.
It was open, but it was still very linear. I mean, you're still supposed to go in one direction, and it was just kind of branch, just kind of widened out. And whereas this, from what I hear, you kind of going back and coming back to areas and kind of wandering around in a big open area.
And that's what I wanted to mention. And this is going to be a tad spoilery, but I like that I went in blind not knowing that. But I like that aspect of the story where you are going back to certain places because you are basically caught in a loop. So it gets a little like Groundhog Day.
I see.
Where you're going through.
Cool. I like that.
There's 3 stages that you're going through. And when you get to the end of the 3rd stage, you basically have to start over again. But there are people that are retaining memory, including Alan. He knows he's doing it. So they do where you could just be repeating that. And I could see where that's maybe where some of the flack's coming from the game, because it is essentially the same thing repeated a couple different times.
Sure.
So it is a little limited that way. But I like that they're smart about it. You're not just going through and doing the same thing. You're going back and going, okay, I've already been here. I know what I need to do. And so you're completely bypassing some of the steps that you did in the first part.
Sure.
Because people are also retaining memory. So they're like, oh, I know you needed to do this, so I already take care of it for you.
Nice.
And so it's like, it's those kind of movies like Groundhog Day where they're reliving it, but it's in really sped up versions of it because it's like, all right, do this is going to happen. I know this is going to happen, and I do this. And so by the third
montage,
by the third time you get there, it's like everything's already laid out, and you're like, all right, I know what I need to do.
Sure.
I'm just going to grab this on my way.
Yeah.
So I really like that. I thought it was smartly done.
Cool.
But it gets faster every time, because there's less and less to do. So I thought that was an interesting aspect of it. There are new weapons, too, to be had here, but they didn't really add anything, in my opinion. I found that I was usually using just like the pistol because it was the easiest to hit everybody. But they add like automatic weapons. You get like an Uzi. There's like an assault rifle that you can use, a nail gun. None of those. There was a crossbow, which I did like the crossbow because it was a one-hit kill without having to worry about having your flashlight weaken them down. If you hit them with the crossbow, it would take them out immediately without having to like burn them down with the flashlight like you normally would.
That was one thing that drove me nuts about the first game.
I will say I don't like one of the changes they made to the flashlight, where before, if you wouldn't power it and boost it, if you still had it on people, it would start weakening them down. It doesn't do that anymore. It only weakens them down if you boost it. Yeah. So if you just passively like have it on them, it won't do anything to them. So that's a little bit of a bummer, but like I said, with the fact that everything's easier and a little more concentrated, and they do a really good job of Alan. And I didn't notice in the first game, but I think it's maybe because this game overall is brighter than the first game. When you're focusing on someone, if somebody's coming up at your side, Alan turns his head to him.
Ooh.
Like I just did, and that's why it sounded like on the mic. Because I'm an idiot. He turns his head to the side. So while I'm doing that, and I've kind of got the slow motion of like shooting them and killing them, I know that there's somebody to my right because I saw Alan's head turn to the right. So I can immediately turn over there. And it was a really just smart ad. And I don't remember it from the first game. But again, like I said, it was overly a lot more darker in the first game. So I don't know.
He may have looked at things because I think that was.
I can't remember.
I think that may have been how you find some of the things in like the forest. Like,
look around.
Like he would kind of pay attention to something.
Yeah. But I
remember that for some game.
In the battle, it was just a lot easier to know that somebody's coming up on your sides, so that was cool.
Definitely.
There are spiders, though, too.
There's always going to be spiders.
There weren't in the first game. They added them this time around.
They're like Nazis. They're a staple in video games.
I'm telling you.
That was the sign that it was more action arcadey.
Oh,
that they added spiders.
Yeah.
So, and they do cutscenes with live action. They have the live actors doing some of the cutscene stuff. I thought that stuff was really well done.
Cool.
It transitions really well. It makes you feel like the guy you're playing is an actual person.
I like that.
So I liked that aspect of it because there's a mix of some of the, obviously some CGI stuff that they're doing in the acting scene.
Right, yeah.
But it's a nice blend. And it's almost like it looks like really, really, really good CGI.
Right.
But it's actual people.
Right.
So there's just like a film over it or something that makes it kind of look like a really good blend.
Huh.
So I really like that aspect. It's $15. If you enjoy the lore, I can't see not enjoying the game. Yeah. I'm curious to see where it fits overall, but it is bookended by the real world.
Yeah.
There is a part at the beginning, like I said, with Barry, and there is a part at the end that kind of maybe gives a hint of where it's going too. So it obviously is feeding into it, and it's going to be part of it, but I just want to know how it fits in. But I guess that's part of the mystery, right?
It just seems like it's an Alan Wake for a wider audience, maybe not to dissuade people, maybe, but I think that it would hurt people to go back to that game after playing this one. It wouldn't hurt them. I mean, it would. I think it would a little bit. But when you're saying just the way the gameplay is in the arcade compared to the disc release, it would be a much different experience. I would wonder how it is starting with the easier version and going back and playing the more difficult version. But you get a good feel of the Alan Wake world.
There was difficulty settings in Alan Wake, wasn't there?
Yeah, in the first one there was. You do kind of, you get it. See, that's where I don't understand. I can't see it being 100% enjoyable because you just don't know where he's coming from. It would be even more confusing. Like, why is this stuff happening? They do reveal.
They try to explain a few things.
They give a lot in the manuscript.
That
are explaining a lot of stuff.
Sure.
But some of that you're not finding until 5 hours into the game. So is that really where you want to learn where stuff's going on?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I really liked the first game, and I've been sitting here waiting to try to play it. Not try to play it, but actually just play it. The demo trial, but I'll probably end up buying it because I enjoyed it, and it just seems like it's right up my alley. So
yeah, I think there's a lot of enjoyable things about it. But like I said, I can see why people are detracting too if that is out there. So
cool,
check it.
DLC wise, as I mentioned, World of Keflings.
When did that come out?
It came from outer space from Ninja B.
November.
I can't remember the price of it. I think it was $3. I think it was 240 points. I don't remember exactly. It may have been $4 or something. Not more than $5. That's definitely true. Shall I go into this?
Not more than $4.99. At least $4.75.
So, if you're familiar with the Keflings franchise, then you are familiar with what's going to be happening in It Came from Outer Space.
Well, I call them Keflings, but
I like Keflings.
Because you like to throw them around. I know. It's going old school.
Exactly. But so basically, this alien ship crashes in your little kingdom, and two of your little helper dudes are with you, Scooby and the other guy. I don't remember.
Scrappy.
What's that?
Shaggy.
I don't
I said Shaggy. He said Scrappy. We both gave you smart ass answers that didn't help anything.
Maybe close,
but they were different.
Yeah, exactly. And so then there are these three major characters from the aliens. There's like this political leader who was on the ship, and then who's trying to kind of, get the ship going again so they can get out of there. And then there's the captain who wants to just murder all the Keflings. He thinks that they're all like enemy spies and everything. And he's pretty hilarious because he looks like, the xenomorphs from the Alien franchise.
Nice.
A little bit, but he's got like more eyes. And then there's this scientist who just wants to dissect everybody and everything. And it's ominous and creepy, but at the same time lighthearted and silly. That everything that's being suggested, it's all really, well veiled in like innuendo and things like that. So you just are, you're your character, your avatar probably. If you were play the Kefling games, you're probably your avatar.
Oh yeah.
And you get new blueprints. You have to build structures, and now you can, because a lot of their structures are these robo animals or something, these giant robo animals. So there's like this gravity lobster that makes like this plastic that you can use to construct other things, but then you can build another facility that makes these carrots that you feed to them, and it mutates them into being able to do something else. Yeah, so you can get like twice the buildings out from one thing, but then you have to build multiples of them. Anyway, also, okay, here's something hilarious, because you start off with a bunch of they're called Keflings, but they're alien Keflings, and you start off with a bunch of them, and then they immediately teach you how to build this new structure that makes this one little robot dude, and the one little robot dude can do things that the other Keflings can't. Like he can mine this sulfur crystal and get junk out of scrap and stuff like that. But I didn't realize in my blueprint thing that there was above it like a house for Keflings, like normal. So I'm like, oh, because I didn't have to build any of those to begin with. I just started with some Keflings, and then they said, hey, build this to get a new guy. So I'm like, oh, this is how I get new guys, I guess. But it requires, because when you build the houses in Kingdom for Keflings and World of Keflings, you have to build the house, then you have to put like love in it.
Right.
And they had robot love, like a separate kind of love. And so then I was trying to find.
I love robot love.
I was trying to find those, and then I would find some regular love. I'm like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with this? Is this for like a later building or something? And so I spent like half of my time playing the DLC, not realizing that I could increase my workforce. Wow. And without just doing it one robot at a time and searching for this special kind of stuff. So I was an idiot, basically. And I put robots in charge of buildings sometimes, because I'm like, well, I guess that's what I'm supposed to do. I don't know. Anyway, I was an idiot.
You're like robot taking over the world.
I was, yeah. And
put them in charge of everything.
Now it's a fairly constrained little space. It's not like a massive area, and you do run out of space with the buildings very quickly, or you have to build your buildings way far apart, and then the Keflings are having to transport shit
running all over the place
a long way. I had a problem here. I don't know if this was a glitch or if it's something that needs to be addressed or what the deal is, because I had problems. I never had this problem, or I didn't really have this problem with Kingdom for Keflings and World of Keflings. I would occasionally have the problem where, the Kefling got confused, and so he would like transport shit to like one spot, and so there'd be this giant pile of stuff growing.
Where all of a sudden they would just start like putting it somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere
when you didn't tell them to.
Yeah, exactly. That was a problem I had before. The problem I had here was that they wouldn't continue doing shit. Like I would be like, okay, you need to cut trees. And maybe carry it back, or just cut trees and make a pile. They would cut down that tree, and then they would just stand there, and they wouldn't move on to the next tree that was in front of them. This was a real problem because if you remember, in order to keep resources going, some things kind of grow back. And there's like this one area that I was moving out towards, and there's like all these trees, and they had like, I didn't get to that area till like later, so they had kind of overgrown, so like the path was going away. And so, you know, I would set tree cutters over there in order to make sure that the path was still open so they can haul some junk and bring that back. And then they would just stand there, and the trees would grow and block the path. And so then I'd have fucking transporters just standing there, not doing anything. And so it was really fucking annoying, to be perfectly honest, because I would have to go, you know, I'm like, okay, you cut down that one tree, now you can fucking cut down this one that's right next to it, pick them up, put them on the tree.
Okay, thanks.
Oh, okay, I'll do this now. I mean, I tried everything. I tried taking their hats off, and then before setting them off to go do, basically resetting them. I tried doing tons of shit, and they just would not do it, and it was really, really, really annoying.
Maybe there's a supervisor.
I don't think so.
He said we gotta do this. He didn't tell me nothing.
The Keflings did it, and the robots did it. I was having that problem with everybody.
Weird.
But there would be some people like who would just continue doing things. So it wasn't like across the board even.
It was just some people.
So I'm like, am I doing something fucking wrong here? Because I don't understand this.
Maybe it's more like a real life sim now.
Yeah.
Dear God, no.
And you gotta
kill them?
And you gotta like
maybe I
call
should just
them to the
kick
office.
them a lot.
Yes. Beat the shit out
I'm like,
of them.
enough of this carrot motivation. Here's the fucking stick. So
that you cut down for me.
So that was frustrating. That was doubly frustrating because, again, I said there wasn't a lot of space, and a lot of the buildings are large. So as this shit kept growing, I was running out of space. Like, it was really hard to move around through the world. But, you know, other than that, it's the same sort of fun stuff, you know, pushing buildings around and helping them construct. I had forgotten that once you build a structure once, then as long as you have the blueprint open, your little Kefling helpers will automatically construct it for you. And once I remembered that, I'm like, oh, that's sweet. I forgot about that.
Right.
So, you know, it was fun. If you like the Keflings franchise, then you probably have already played it before I did. But if you haven't yet, then you probably should. Although I really hope that you don't have the same worker troubles that I did. I think they were forming a union. I think that was the problem.
Were, probably.
Yeah, they're like, this is an official break right now.
I bet it was you,
motherfucker. Quit taking my hat off and making me do it again.
It's probably you fucking putting Johnny number 5 in charge of the fucking buildings.
They're like, oh shit, we're getting replaced by automation. Why should I even try? Why should I even try?
I'm not going to keep doing this.
And then the robots were all like, well, that fucker gets to be in charge of a building. Why am I cutting down trees?
I will not do that anymore.
But it was a very funny, you know, little DLC, and it didn't take me long. I think it took me an hour and a half to play through. Cool. So just worth checking out.
All right. Is that it for XBLA, I guess, DLC and everything?
Yeah, that was DLC. Yeah, that's
Disc games?
Yeah.
Good.
We want to talk about some Syndicate?
Yep.
Sean and I both played a little bit of Syndicate.
A little bit.
Did you play it together?
Little bit.
No.
We didn't, because I didn't know he had it.
Oh.
Now I do.
Keeper.
Do you still have it?
No.
Oh,
No.
thanks for ruining everything.
No. I should have only rented that for 2 days.
Why? You didn't enjoy it?
It didn't. It was this game was not for me.
I'll give a disclaimer. I still haven't played the co-op. I want to check out the co-op.
I'm not sure how
but
the single player is different from the co-op.
Single player is not that exciting so far for me.
Yeah,
because the co-op felt like it was kind of arcadey. You know, you move into the area and then a bunch of dudes would show
Well, that's kind of how it is in the single player, except you don't have other people to rely on.
Yeah,
it's really just
which is a little tedious.
You move forward and shoot everybody, and then move forward and shoot everybody, and move forward and shoot everybody.
And I can't tell you what the story's about. I know you've got some kind of implants. I liked a lot of the mode. I like
the story is like super generic.
Yeah, and it really said that's what
Isn't
it
this
does.
an old game? It's like an update of an old game, isn't it?
Yeah, like 20 years ago, like a computer Super Nintendo game.
Oh, really?
Whatever,
Oh, wow. Okay.
I think it was like a top-down.
Okay, so it's like Metal Gear Solid sort of.
I think so. Yeah, I mean, and this is like a full-on shooter now.
Right.
You know, third-person shooter.
Yeah,
first-person shooter.
No, I meant like a massive change between the original, original source material.
It's pretty big change. I think.
I liked a lot of the aspects, like the gameplay wise, because you're like this guy that looks like this other guy that you're with, and
is it a clone?
I don't know.
Pretty much.
And so like
everybody's got their chips implanted.
And there's some crazy.
You're working for corporations.
And you're crazy. something crazy starts happening, so then you have to go hook up with some other dude, and then you guys have to fight, and then all of a sudden he's like, well, I'm going to go this way, and you go that way, and I'm like, well, let's hang out together instead, and he's gone, and I'm dying, and
So in other words, you need to be better at it.
I need to, no, see, that's exactly what this game is to me. It's like, I need to do better, because that's how I felt the whole time playing it. And like, I made it through, I think, the first 5 chapters, storylines, whatever, mini whatevers, and there was no drive for me. There was none to make me go, keep playing, Sean, keep playing. And, you know, there's some games that have an awesome multiplayer and awesome co-op, but campaign always is going to win for me. And if a campaign doesn't grab me, I don't want to sit through a co-op campaign. You know, yeah, we're fighting together, but I want that story. I like story.
How'd that Red Faction campaign turn out for you?
Red Faction. That's a totally different story. That's a totally
different genre.
That's
the Hammer genre.
That's a third person. I get to
That's true.
beat shit up and
that is
make
different.
Things fall down and then build it again to fall down.
I know you've said it before, but maybe we should do that again sometime soon. Red Faction night.
But the thing about, I liked a lot of the aspects of the games. Like, I liked being able to hack things or whatever you call it. You know, like you could breach, yeah, and then you know,
dirty.
Take control of turrets or like take out some flying. You know, they had like these probes that shot at you, and they would.
Everything's like really just hyper and like.
And they had force fields on them.
You walk in and everything's just like there's. Like little things popping up off of everything, and because you're seeing things through your visor, which is like all the cybernetic stuff that you have going on, enhanced, exactly.
Yeah.
So everything's got little like pop-ups and like things that are giving you information about things, and so when you walk into something and there's like 100 of those, and it's just like it seems overloaded to me.
It's like, what do I pick up or what do I look at? Because I spent the first little part looking at everything, and it was
me
like,
too. And they normally do a good job of telling you or like giving you a button command above the things that you can affect.
Yeah.
So I liked walking in and you take over that gunship at the beginning where it's shooting at you and you like do your breach thing and like overload it or whatever. You take control of it and turn it on itself. And I liked that. I kind of liked how they do that little mini thing where it's almost like the active reloads from Gears, where you hit the bumper button and you keep it held down, and if you go to the end, it just does it as normal, but there's a little bar you can stop it in the middle of, and that gives you like a bonus back to your, like, whatever it's called, Rampage or whatever it is. I can't remember.
Yeah, it is Rampage.
So I like that. You know, there is
that was a good game.
the dart overlay, which, you know, because you have these dart chips, which is what gives you your abilities. And so you have this dart overlay that you can hit with the right bumper button that you have a limited use of. And it kind of puts everything into a black and white virtual kind of aspect. You see the people that are highlighted in yellow and like objects you can shoot. I also noticed it was letting me shoot through walls when I was doing that. So people would be behind cover, or there'd be like these tanks you could blow up, and if you turned on your dart you could like shoot through the wall and blow up the tank behind the wall. And I don't know if that was a specific weapon I had or if it was the actual
there is a weapon that the bullets, if you target it, the bullets will go around. I mean, that's the thing that the part about it I like is that aspect is like they make it so when you're playing in a multiplayer experience, there's so many opportunity for you to like, oh, that guy can't hide and cover. It's gonna be, you're gonna be shooting and it's gonna be all fighting, and there's gonna be some strategy involved, but they made enough things into the game that counter that strategy. You know, like you can, you know, affect people that way or cause something or shoot around corners and things like that. Like all those little aspects I think are cool. I enjoy them, but it fell short when it came to when I was actually playing the game.
It's just a completely generic story for me. And that's where it falls apart, because there's no hook for me to like, well, I want to know what this guy's all about. It felt like no different than when I played that, or actually I had more involved with that Deus Ex. And then what was the other, Crisis? It kind of feels like, you know, both of those games felt like this, where you're dealing with like you being enhanced and like you know, having those different abilities. But
Vanquish.
There's another one.
I like Vanquish.
But you know, Deus Ex, I had actually like an interest in the story. This one, it's like it just drops you in, and you're like, I really don't care. And I don't know if maybe that's something that's going to sink in, but it doesn't sound like it, because I think you got even farther than I did, Sean.
It just,
so that's worrisome to me.
It's really, I mean, and that
you really should try the co-op.
I need to. That's why I still have it.
There is a lot of strategy in the co-op where, you know, you're protecting other people and, you know, trying to outflank things, and
Right.
when you're dumb like me and totally run straight into like an ambush, then,
Well, that would be me.
yeah. then
that's all lost
everyone
when
else
you're
is
doing the
trying to
single
recover
player.
you.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing that has that problem with this game too, is like it has those little sensor moments where you walk past that sensor and that's when the barrage comes.
Right,
so
right.
you walk towards the door, next thing you know, the door's falling down and there's 40 guys coming at you.
Yeah.
And if it was me and someone else, that's cool.
Yeah.
But then it comes down to I have to play the co-op, and if I'm going to play co-op, I'm going to grab a different game that I enjoy the story and I enjoy the graphics and I enjoy the gameplay.
It's not going to take your co-op time.
I thought it looked very good.
I
think it's very telling that the demo that they released was the co-op demo.
I do too.
Not the single player.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I think it looks good, but the lighting that they have with it was driving me bonkers.
Oh, really?
It's like over. I don't know what it is. Like the bloom is like crazy on that stuff.
Yeah.
It's like everything is just like bright light, like a flashlight being shined in your eyes until you get too close enough where it like dies down a little bit.
Yeah. It's got a bleed it's got like the J.J. Abrams bleed.
Yeah, everything's got a fucking lens flare.
Yeah, they're flare.
But even worse. But it just feels like you're looking at headlights the whole time.
Did you make it into the nightclub then?
Not yet.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I can't even imagine.
Fighting guys in that nightclub because they have all the music going and the lights are, and it's just, and then you get these dark troopers coming in that have kind of that neon little glow on them to kind of outline them. Yeah, they kind of all work in with the nightclub, and then there's people running around.
It's too much,
Yeah.
and I need to maybe look into the things and see if I can turn it down, because normally I have to turn my brightness up on my TV, but it seems like I need to turn it down because that stuff is just too glaring.
Yeah.
And it almost makes me feel like that dart overlay, they did it so that you have even more advantage when you turn that on, because it makes everything kind of go black and white.
Yeah.
VR looking.
Yeah.
And then you see they're highlighted in orange or whatever. I just wonder if it's like it's compensating for that, like to make that even more enticing.
And I found myself going back to it because maybe I was spoiled on detective mode because it lasts a while.
Yeah.
And all those,
Because it goes away pretty quick.
And this goes away fast.
Yeah.
And then it's like there's an adjustment to what you're seeing, because now the guys that you saw aren't that color anymore, and maybe there's a wall in your way. I wish there was outlines of some of the walls. It just there's some aspects of the game that just that's me. It all falls on me. Maybe someone out there would absolutely love this game, and more power to you. But you're just crazy.
You have Sean's okay.
Yeah.
To like the game.
Yeah.
Congratulations. So I am going to check out the co-op, which is why I still have it. So I'm going to take a look at that, and we'll see if that changes my opinion on it. But
It probably won't change your opinion about the single player.
I'm not having fun with the single player campaign. I think it's just because of the lack of story. It's just nothing driving me.
Yeah. And I need that single player. I need that little,
I need it.
campaign.
Except for Red Faction.
That's true. It's too big of a game.
It transcends.
That is like
Transcends normal needs.
That is like the only. Yeah. I keep forgetting that had a campaign. I still think it's a multiplayer game.
It's not. All right.
All multiplayer games should follow that multiplayer aspect too.
Let's talk about some shredding.
Oh, shredding.
Word, SSX.
And grinding, I guess.
Surfing, snowboarding, motocross.
Spin-off for Grindcast. I never knew it.
You still hate
for that.
Grindcast?
I do. Fuck Grindcast.
Yeah, the
Because
SSX.
I was a huge fan of the SSX franchise on PS2. That and Wipeout were like my two favorite games. Oh, you are crazy.
I know, Wipeout
I just recently got Wipeout.
I was going to ask, did you get it on PS3?
Yeah, I've been playing the shit
it's
out
crazy
of that.
awesome.
Yeah.
The ships were. Okay.
Totally sweet. You are wrong.
I know.
So, yeah, SSX is a snowboarding game, although it's more over the top craziness because you're doing impossible tricks and things.
A little bit crazy.
A little bit. So this was originally called SSX Deadly Descent, and so I'm going to point out how weird it will be to be talking about SSX and then comparing it to SSX2 and SSX3.
Right. I don't understand why they dropped the Deadly Descent.
Yeah.
Because people were making fun of. Basically, it was confusing people because it made it sound like it's like this survival horror game or something like that.
Are people retarded?
Basically,
A little bit.
Jesus.
Basically, yeah, it's called Deadly Descent because you're going around the world to these 9 mountains, these 9 particularly dangerous mountains that you really couldn't snowboard down.
And there are zombies on them.
Reality. The taken appear out of the trees.
They just walk and you fly right past them.
Exactly. And so
me.
And so that's a new aspect to the game because those mountains, basically you're working in the career mode.
Yeah.
I think it's called career mode, you're working your way up to these super deadly mountains, and going down these mountains you have some challenge, like it's low oxygen at that altitude, or there's avalanches, or the gaps are too big, so you're going to have to use a wingsuit in order to survive across these gaps. And basically there's a bit of a story there. You're on
Griff.
Don't
forget Griff.
I'm not going to forget Griff.
Okay.
I used to play as Griff a lot, I think, on the
I was
the
a little
old games.
upset that he left the SSX, but anyway.
I'm sitting this one out, so I don't know.
Did you not play the?
I played it. I didn't play the other
earlier
ones.
games.
I'm not. I was never an SSX fan.
They were pretty fun, but basically you're on Team SSX and you're just out to go prove yourselves on these 9 mountains, and then Griff quit the SSX team and he's going to go do it himself and show them who's boss, and I'm like, it's like, this is my motivation. I'm like, why can't my motivation just be I want to totally shred on these mountains, because that's worked before.
What benefit of it is there of him splitting off?
Yeah. No, I don't know.
Well, he's going to do it
He's
and
the
get
villain.
it done first.
I don't know why they need to make a villain.
Yeah.
It was very strange for me.
Yeah.
But
Is he a
because
zombie?
He's a ghost.
maybe
Is that where Deadly Descent comes from?
maybe because and so what was I talking about? Oh, so there's rivalries in the old games in like SSX 3. I don't know if it was in SSX 2, but SSX 3. There needs to be a shorter way to say SSX because I'm going to be saying that a lot. SSX. In
doesn't work.
No, that's harder to say. In SSX 3, you can make rivalries, but that was mostly because in every race, or in a lot of races and trick competitions, there were 8 people going at the same time, and you could punch people. You could still knock people over, but you could like punch them, and so you would make rivalries by like fucking people up constantly, and then you would make alliances by people who hate that person, being like, "Hey, yeah, you're totally awesome for fucking them up," and that was a neat little system. But now the rivalry system is more based for the multiplayer with your friends, and it's a little less full contact and a little more just friendly competition.
Yeah, like amazing. I love that aspect of it.
Yeah,
it's just.
I'm very glad that the demo was just that. And it wasn't like the Deadly Descents themselves, because honestly, I'm kind of like, because here's the thing.
Yeah.
Most of the races are either focused on speed or tricks.
Right.
And then you have Deadly Descent, and you don't fucking care about speed. Unless it's going to keep you alive.
You're just getting down to the bottom.
It's just surviving. And so sometimes I would go as slow as possible. Like the ice one, for example. I would just constantly be slowing down and then just kind of creeping down again. Because if I tried to be awesome and like do tricks and do flips and all that, I was just constantly dying.
That serve you nothing.
It did. Yeah, absolutely. And so I don't know. I'm not totally sold on those. It's kind of a cool aspect, but I don't know. Not great for me.
I like them. I like this game. It's totally like what I wanted Shaun White to be. But Shaun White,
that's right. I forgot you
felt
played that.
Really like just difficult. I wasn't getting my brain around it like I could SSX.
Yeah,
because it's an arcade game.
Yeah, it totally is.
And then this one, when you're like. You go on that tour and you're recruiting all these people, and then you're like, oh, well, these are my new cars. Because I'm looking at this as a racing game. I'm like, oh, these are these are my new cars, because this guy, he's got a better boost. Oh, this guy has a better on tricks. And this guy, I want to open him. I want to buy him. I want to,
Although, can I say how weird it is? You go to a new area, and then Zoe, who's kind of the leader of Team SSX, is like, I haven't seen this person in a while. I'm going to test them out to see if they can handle this mountain. And the purpose is not to have that person beat Zoe in order to prove that they're good enough to do this mountain. You have to keep playing until Zoe beats them.
So backwards.
I'm like, what the fuck? Although,
I beat you. You can join me.
Story-wise,
they want to join you if you can beat them.
Story-wise, it makes no sense. Well, they're already a part of the team. It's just like, I just want to test you out. Story-wise, it doesn't make any sense, but it is kind of nice because that forces you to constantly come back to Zoe a little bit and get her a little extra experience points, so you don't end up with like a whole...
Zoe's my my go-to.
Well, yeah, I mean,
her.
because she's this built-up character that you can then use for the other things, because otherwise you would end up with a bunch of people who are basically at the same level if you're going for the wider stuff, but...
Yeah.
I interrupted, didn't I?
Probably.
I don't remember.
I don't either.
What we were talking about. Recruiting new people. You were talking about it like cars.
Well, I like that aspect to it because when you go on the world tour and that opens up the mountains, but then if you go to, I believe it's just explore, then you can just go any mountain. You might have to open some of them up, especially if they're involved in like if there's a
global challenge.
In a global challenge. Some of like, especially like if I haven't opened that area yet in the world tour, then I've got to pay for it to open. But I like that aspect of it.
Well, the global challenges, there are some that are free.
Some of them, yeah.
But you can also throw into a pool, basically. And so then the more people compete, the bigger this pool gets. And then, like, depending on your category that you finish in, then you get, like, paid out.
Nice.
A payout once the whole thing finishes because they're on a timer.
I really like the system they have set up for that stuff.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
I've only had it for 2 days. I started it up on, 3 days now, I guess. I started it up on Friday, and it was like, here's $60,000 because 50 people tried to beat your ghost challenge and they failed. And
That's awesome.
I'm like, thank you.
I think that's what. And when you go to play that game, and I haven't gone online.
Although the EA server isn't working for me today for some reason.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah, that's kind of.
But I haven't done the pass. But all this money that I've accumulated without putting the pass in keeps getting put in this little bank account.
I'm going to say too,
which
I
is
love
insane.
that because I noticed
so you are accumulating it, you just can't access it.
And I loved.
Oh, that is very nice.
And I loved
amazing.
when I
that's an incentive,
read that.
too.
And they're like, "Oh, you can still play online. You just don't get any of your rewards, but we'll keep them for you until you do get your pass." And I'm like, "That is brilliant."
That's
because
great marketing.
It doesn't lock people out. It just doesn't give you the benefit.
Well, and it incentivizes you.
Exactly.
You're like, I could get my 500,000 credits out.
Well, that's about what I have right now. It's like 520 some credits.
Although you can buy credits with real money.
Yeah, and you're an idiot if you do.
Yeah, it is. But I mean, that would option. I see, and then the other thing too is like when you have that whole online aspect to it. I mean, it's got like the blur feel that I had, where it's constantly updating you on where people are standing, where you're standing.
I had that when I was playing. Like, I was playing last night, and while I was doing something, it just gave the pop-up message of so-and-so on my friends list just set a new whatever record, and I'm like, well, that's awesome for him. I suck.
I think like that aspect to it.
Nobody's getting those pop-ups about me.
Yeah, in starting the game, I mean, that was the one thing I loved about Blur is when you start the game, it gave you like, this is what you did, this is what you have on deck.
Right. Yeah.
But when you start this game, then it's like, this is how much money you're making because no one can beat that score on this one, or this is you've already that one's over with. So because some of them last days, some of them last hours of the little tiny tournament type things they have.
I like when you go into WriterNet and look at your rivals too. It will just show you everything that you could basically challenge for people, and then it's also got like little flames next to ones that are worth a lot of points because the person did particularly well.
Nice.
Or something. Yeah, it's a nice little incentivizer because I love that friendly competition, meaning competing amongst friends rather than just on a generic leaderboard. Right. And I think they do a great job of incentivizing all of that.
And you might not be playing with that person online at that moment, but the fact that they put that ghost in there. There's like a little ghost.
Yeah, I played one that
image
was one of yours, and so I had the ghost guy that was going.
And I was playing.
I was no good because don't worry, your ghost destroyed me.
Craig had sent me a challenge for one of the zombies and jetpacks. I think
it automatically happened because I beat your score, and so it's challenge
and that,
back at you.
And I was like, awesome. And I'm like totally racing him, and we were getting to the end, and you took some weird like off corner thing, and I'm coming down from up top, and I'm like, oh, he's got me beat, and then you wiped.
Yeah, probably.
And I was like, what? And I go right past you. I made it by like 0.seconds. And I was just like, because it was like 240.
Yeah.
Both of us had 240.
Yeah.
But it was like the coolest moment because I'm like going and I'm like, he's going to beat me. And you wiped. I'm like,
it's a brilliant.
It's really cool.
It's a brilliant incorporation of multiplayer.
Yeah.
In a single player environment, but you feel like you're playing with friends,
and it's kind of like creating videos,
like
too.
being on your own.
Yeah.
You know,
exactly.
Like in the Skate series, you can make videos and post them online to show your awesome tricks and stuff. But basically, if you follow along behind someone, you can see them totally shredding and stuff like that.
Well, I was following you on a grind, and you just jumped and went off screen, and I'm like, I'll stay on this. I don't know where you went.
I love SSX because there's a lot of hidden things. If you look really carefully, and if you get really good jump boosts or something.
What was up with those geo things you can put out?
You can drop those, and so they're kind of little extra challenges. And if you pick them up, you gain credits. Like if you pick somebody else's up, you gain credits. But I think also if you drop one and then like people are doing the race and they don't get it, then you earn money for them.
You get credits for dropping them, and they get experience for picking them up.
Okay, that's
and
what it is.
And then you get more. You get if they sit there for a while, I think you get more each time.
Yeah.
I don't know. There was one race I was doing that somebody had dropped it way off the edge of this cliff.
Yeah.
So it must have been when they were falling and dying.
No, it's because you can only do it while you're rewinding.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So they're like, come get it, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
So I have to go get it and then
rewind.
Yeah.
Nice.
We didn't talk about the rewind.
We didn't talk about the rewinds. The rewind is...
I hit it by accident all the time.
I know. Especially because I'm used to the old school controls, and those were... shoulder buttons were tweaks for grabs. And because I remember it used to be that your massive grab was like crushing all of the shoulder buttons all together. I used to do that a lot, and so I constantly hit it by accident.
I think you can go to old school control. I like the new ones. I'm having a little bit. The only problem I have,
I'm using the button ones right now. I tried the joystick when I played the demo.
Yeah, I do the joystick. The only problem though is I'll hit the camera view is the back button.
Yeah.
So like when I'm like totally rolling a trick with my left finger, I'll go clunk and I'll hit it, and then it'll change, and I'm like, what just happened? And I'm like, you're fine.
So the rewind though, it lets you back up, and then
you lose points. And if you're in a race, nobody else stops.
I don't like that.
They just go right past you.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing: in the previous SSX games, like you could screw yourself over basically and get into a spot where you couldn't get out, or you're kind of stuck between like crevices or whatever. And it used to be you would press a button and you'd kind of vaporize and then reappear on the track at like the last point you were touching the track.
Okay.
And so you had no momentum and everybody was still moving and all of that. So there was a penalty to it still, but it basically automatically resets you. Doing the rewind, I like it in concept, but I find it I end up, especially because in some of the things you only get so many rewinds, I end up burning them all fucking on one mistake, because I'll rewind and I'm like, okay, it looks like I could do this, but I'm going too fucking fast, and so I can't actually change what I'm doing. And so then I have to rewind again further back, and it takes me a long time.
And you're losing all that time. You might as well just start.
You're losing
over
all
at
that time, losing all those points, and then I burn up all my rewinds, and then I make another mistake later down the road, and I just die. So a lot of times I just restart if I fall off a cliff.
Start drop. Just restart it.
Yeah.
I'm no good at the game. I don't know if now is a good time to mention that, but I suck terribly at the game.
I'm terrible at races because my favorite things in the game are the soundtrack and doing tricks. No, seriously, I've always loved the SSX soundtracks.
Yeah.
I've found a lot of great bands through the SSX soundtracks, and I think I have here as well.
Yeah.
But then doing tricks, and so then I go to a race and I'm like, okay, got to go fast, but I need to do a few tricks to get some boost up, and then I'll hit a boost, and I'll hit like a jump, and I'm like, woo, let's do some tricks here, and then I land, and everybody's going past me. I'm like, shit.
See, I love how your helicopter pilot's like, okay, let's race.
Yes.
It's like,
race, I'm fine. I can do the race. It's the ones where I got to beat the scores.
Yeah.
And I get to the end and they have like 1.5 million and I have like 200,000.
You're going too fast.
Like, oh boy.
Yeah.
That's great.
Because you have to completely flip-flop like in a tricket.
Yeah,
you don't want to go. You want to slow down as much as possible, because you want
to take your time.
Yeah, you want to hit as many ramps as you can find. Even the grinds, you don't want to do too many of them, because those will get you down there fast.
Yeah,
because those are my favorite in the race, is to hit a grind, and then like especially when you're in tricky, and then do something and start spinning around and just mash down the the speed boost button.
Yeah,
I think I'm just like I'm all spastic too when it gets to it, because it makes me.
True, you are.
I mean, I haven't played like these type of games. I mean, I did a little bit of Skate.
Yeah.
But back in the Tony Hawk days, where I used to play those all the time, and just be crazy. And that's where I feel like with this, where I'm just like spamming buttons. So I'm like going off a jump, and I'm just like, wah, 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 and then
that's about right.
Are you doing joystick or are you doing button control?
Buttons.
Button control. Okay, that's more control.
Because I want to break my controller.
You might even want to try classic, because then all the grabs are on the shoulders.
Okay. Maybe I should look into changing that up.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit easier. I mean, there are some interesting tweaks to the new control system where you can basically, for the button system at least, you press one button to kind of decide which hand you're going to use, and then you press another button in order to decide where you're grabbing. And so that's kind of nice, but I often forget that I can do that, and I'm just doing like.
I like the button control. I like the way that they laid it out so that the right. The right button is the right hand, the left, and then the top is the top of the board.
I also forget that,
I thought it was smart.
A works for grabs too.
Yeah.
Because you grab the back of the board. But I constantly forget that because it's my jump button. This is what I use this.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was smart for me because having that made it a lot easier for me to just keep in my mind where I was going to grab, and I like that setup a lot. So I'm enjoying it, but and I talked to Sean. I played a couple.
Did you rent it or you?
I rented it.
Okay.
I played a couple different sessions, and I noticed a marked increase of my ability on the second session.
Yeah.
And so when I stopped the first night, I was like, I am terrible. Like I can't do anything. And I played the second time, and I got a little more hands on with it. And I think it's just learning the control aspect of it because I was just going widely out of control.
Yeah.
And I ran into a lot of scenarios where I would lose momentum, like completely, and it's like I didn't know how to get going again. Like she just wouldn't move, like it was just barely moving. And
X or B, just do a forward grind or a back grind.
I guess just jump a little bit and start building up.
jump a little bit. Yeah, it used to be
jump around
because there were times because they dropped some elements from SSX 3 as well. There were those giant half pipes. Where it was like you're trying to get down to the end of the half pipe as slow as possible, and you're just trying to get as much air so you could get these multipliers and do massive tricks up there. I miss those things. I also kind of go ahead.
They've kind of thrown some of those in, and you can work. You can make.
Maybe I just haven't found them.
There's some. I mean, because I've gone about, I think halfway. I think there's 9.
There's 9 mountains.
And I've done
on my 5th.
And I've done 5, I think. And like some of the tunnels are awesome because you can go like
you go around and
circle.
Around. Sometimes you do that when you don't want to.
Yeah,
I'm doing a race and I'm like whoa,
and then you go back up the hill. And you're like, I'm flying because you're in tricky mode by then, and you're just turboing up the hill.
Yeah.
Although I did do one of the downhill races where it was one of the other girls, the blonde-haired girl,
Elise.
Yeah,
maybe
because she is well known for her racing skills.
And it's the one where it was all those caves and like the mountain was all broken up and there was lots of places
that's
to fall off.
Elise. Yeah, the
and I
wingsuit.
wanted to hurt something.
It gets.
I was super pissed. Like I had to restart like 7, 8 times.
When you were
9
Zoe
times.
racing against Elise,
and I was like super mad. And I got it eventually.
Yeah,
it's just better and better and better
with the wingsuit
and learning how to do stuff.
Yeah.
But it's just like I was getting so frustrated. Yeah. And so when I see those score ones where it's like I get 200,000 and they had 1.5 million, I'm like, I'm never gonna fucking beat that person.
I know it sucks, especially when you get a 7 million. You're like, how am I gonna beat a fucking 7 million when I'm at 5?
Shut up.
Yeah,
I hate you.
Because that's the only problem.
I'm never playing it again.
They have. I like how they have
Getting out
set
now.
Gold, silver, and bronze.
Yeah,
they have those already.
That's
set.
handy for the races.
Yeah, so that's nice because those points are already set. But when you're in like compete mode, so I'm thinking, well, these are set scores. Well, no, because then you got to get that out of your head.
Yeah,
because the better you do, the better the AI usually end up doing. Because I'll do like a 200,000 or something. And they'll do like 1 million. I'll do it right over again, and it's 7 million against 5 or something. I'm just like, well, wait a minute. But you'll still place. You might not beat the top guy that you're competing against. Most of the time, you don't have to, unless it's a race. Mostly,
I don't really understand the equipment either. I
like the
you can
equipment.
upgrade the equipment, so there's a ton of different things you can buy with your points.
Now, did you guys start with like some pretty awesome like level 6 equipment?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't understand.
Yeah,
because everything I've been able to buy so far is like worse.
Because it levels up with you.
Yeah.
So why would I buy any of that stuff?
Sometimes, especially once you hit level 4, level 5, and you find like the rare or the legendary items.
Yeah.
Sometimes, and plus you can buy stuff that tweaks it a little bit, like something that's a little better on tricks and something that's a little better.
I
on
noticed
speed.
that on some of them, but some of them were like minus 24 on both things, and I'm like, why would I ever want to buy that?
Well, because there's some that are level 1 requirements for hills. So you have to have a level 1 board, or you cannot.
Oh,
even,
really?
Yeah, or you cannot even raise.
This must be in the multiplayer stuff.
Yeah.
So they'll knock you down. So you have to have lower
You
levels.
have to have it, or you can't compete. And I think that
to kind of level the playing field. Oh, I like that.
Yeah, and I thought that was
didn't
another.
realize
I'm
that.
glad you brought that up.
I've been mostly going through campaign.
Yeah, and
That's what I'm here for.
I like that aspect to it because I was like playing. I'm like, well, why can't I do this? And then I looked. It was like level 1 required. So then I had to buy a level 1 board. And I'm like, I had to go back.
That's awesome.
And some of
like
the super rare suits will have like perks as well, but those are like the $500,000.
I saw a couple things show up that were like
in the mystery
epic,
suits,
whatever.
where you only have so much time to buy it.
Where it'll be like a mystery item and it's got a timer for like 20 minutes or something.
But you don't see what it is.
You don't see what it is. They're usually pretty good though. I haven't gotten the let's make a deal.
Yeah, I haven't got a zonk yet.
That part I liked about it, but I just didn't understand why it was only. And maybe if I advance more, I'll start seeing some things that would actually be increases across the board. But most of the stuff I've seen has been decreases across the board. I'm like, why would I want that?
I mean, I don't know how high you can go in level, but yeah, definitely those early levels. It's better just to stick with the basic stuff.
What you're given.
Yep.
Cool.
But that's kind of fine. That's kind of fine too because it allows you to build up some credits.
Yeah.
Over time. Now, one thing I do miss from SSX 3 is, I mean, they say they have an explore mode, but that's really just kind of go around and choose stuff. Do you remember SSX 3? There was only like 3 mountains in the whole thing, but the deal was that it was this giant mountain, and there were all these little tracks, like there were like little trick areas, trick challenges, and races, and they are just spread down along the mountain. And so what you could do if you wanted is take a helicopter. I mean, you could just jump to any place and just do that race.
Yeah.
But if you wanted to, you could take a helicopter up to the top of the mountain and just fucking snowboard down the thing. And as you pass by, there'd be like this entrance for a race. So if you wanted to jump in a race, you could just snowboard into there. Or what you could do is you could bypass the entrance and then just like kind of jump onto the racetrack later. And so, you really could explore. You were looking for like those snowflakes and looking for shortcuts so you could use them again later in like the races, and it really felt like you owned the mountain. And you go down and I'd be like, I'm going to stop in this little shop and check out what they got to sell in here. And I really liked that aspect where it was just like really the mountain was open to you.
An open world.
It was a very open world sort of environment. And here, this is going back more to SSX 2 and the original SSX, where it's more, you jump to this race.
Yeah.
Now, I do like that they have the built up stuff. So, you start off on shorter races that are like halfway up the mountain.
I like that too.
And then later you have full races that connect up to that area.
So you get to learn, especially when you make it to that bottom part. You're like, oh, I know this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I can breathe now.
So that was nice because you did get that in 3 as well.
Yeah.
But I do kind of miss just kind of really exploring around and feeling like I could do it at whatever pace I wanted to. This feels a little more straightforward. You're going to race. Yeah. You're always going to race. You're always going to trick.
I had forgotten about that.
Yeah, that was my favorite.
Yeah.
That was like
I'd always go to the top of the mountain.
I would go to the top of the mountain, turn on that what was it, hybrid song with the orchestra and whatever, because when you start up at the top, that's where it's all just mountain and snow and trees, and then you get down later and that's where it's all like neon and cities. There, because you could snowboard through like the city, and they had like these crazy over the top tracks, and the track. I like that the tracks still have some over the topness to them. Here's something though. They definitely tried to make it more realistic this time around. Except it's still not realistic. Yeah. Like everyone is still a huge caricature.
Right.
Like in the old ones they were huge caricatures as well. Like Kaori would have like this, Japanese schoolgirl alternate outfit or, ridiculous things like that. But now here they all wear sensible sorts of outfits, but they're still ridiculous caricatures.
Right.
And it's not like the huge neon city where you're snowboarding over these snowed in like subway trains and all that stuff. But it's still like massive grind pipes for miles and miles and miles.
And busted up airplanes.
Yeah. In what is that, Patagonia or something?
And that
like
one that they show of the train crashing.
Yeah.
Like, are we concerned about those people?
It was an empty train.
It's just how it is.
It was an empty train, yeah. And so...
Well, I got a snowboard.
So I find it kind of hilarious that they tried to make it more realistic because it is still... it's... A team of snowboarders trying to beat this other snowboarder who just wants to beat them. It's not like it's a real motivation.
Somebody's family should have been kidnapped.
Exactly.
That's what's missing from this game.
Give me back my son. So I find that stuff hilarious. The comics are terrible.
What about that guy getting hit by the semi? That was awesome.
Moby?
Was it Moby?
Yeah, it was
from
Moby.
Antarctica?
Yeah.
He wore that like suit, and then the train came by and hit him, and he's like...
I know, it was... those comics are terrible, though.
Spoiler.
Too fast. They won't even let you read them.
Yeah, they do go crazy.
Motion.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Not so hot on those.
Ugh. Well, and they're all, and it's also like, I'm just this, broad caricature of somebody. I'm into extremeness.
Yeah.
And they're all...
I'm into extremeness.
Yeah.
They all are.
Basically. Well, it's like Moby, I'm super into extremeness. I like to survive. And like Kaori is like, I'm myself. I'm an individual. But then you don't really... I mean...
I'm extreme into extremeness.
I'm okay with the caricatures. I loved the caricatures from SSX3 and stuff like that, but it continued on.
Right.
And so here it's like I have no motivation to buy like alternate suits unless I find one with a perk, because it's like it's just a fucking different color.
I like the glow. I just buy the glowing ones.
The glowing ones are kind of fun
because it's just like you're Tron on a snowboard.
Yeah,
and that's fine with
that
me.
one's particularly nice. Yeah, cool.
I have a strong. I'm probably going to be buying this game. I bought it. I had a lot of fun with it. I wanted to rent it first just to see where they were going. But yeah, I've had a lot of fun with it. And the music alone, the fact that I can set my personal tracks.
Yeah, I like that.
And they incorporate it in with the music. It's not just you playing.
No.
Like when you go to Tricky, it incorporates it. When you're doing a shred and you're doing it, actually will rewind the music, my music that I'm listening to.
Yeah,
So when you go
into caverns, there's like an echo.
Yeah, and
that's
like
awesome.
when you're doing like you're spinning on, it will actually like mix it.
Yeah,
that's
and
really
it's just
cool.
it's amazing
It's
that
really great. You can set music for the menus.
Yeah.
Even
Everything, and I really like that aspect of it. I mean that's not. It's music, but I think that's really cool.
But that's something they've had since like SSX3. I mean, that's been a great draw for them.
Yeah, but the fact that you can use your own and it's incorporated.
Right.
Mostly that stuff's not. It just plays.
Right.
And this actually, the game works with it.
Right.
Which boggles my mind.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I like that aspect to it. The writer.net is so smart. The fact that you can just be away from it and still gain experience or still gain stuff. It's just that's cool.
I like the medals.
Yep.
Like you end a race, and like even if you fucked up, then it's still nice to see like all these extra points coming to you.
Right.
And it's the achievements are fairly sensible. They're things that you would expect. They're largely race based, or there are some tied to medals as well. Although did you guys see there are some for completing deadly descents with no rewinds and no equipment, like no health equipment.
No,
that's like level 50 shit right there.
I tried doing that first avalanche one with no armor. I tried.
Yeah,
I'm still trying. I made it like meters from the end.
But they're they're largely based on like completing things.
Yeah,
right?
right.
And then there are all these extra things inside, like doing tricks off helicopters. That was fucking sweet the first time I did that.
Yeah, I did that. I did one of those.
And then
so I at least did that.
And there's one where I did 3 tricks off a helicopter in the same run. It was totally badass.
I hate those runs when you get going and you're flying.
My first
and then
one,
you meet a crevice.
A lot of them I hook on to like the foot of the helicopter.
Yeah,
that's what I do a lot. But the first one was I was going in front of it, and then I just like do a hand plant off of like the windscreen of the helicopter. I'm like, that is sweet. I loved that.
And then you get chopped into pieces.
Yes, exactly. But
and then deadly descent comes on the screen and it bleeds away.
But then there's stuff for like going 160 kilometers per hour. I got that one recently, or keeping up a speed for a certain amount of time.
Nice.
They're additional achievements essentially because they get you credit.
Yeah, I never noticed. I mean, they just keep popping up, and I don't really know. I don't have time.
You can look at them in the writer net.
Okay, cool. Because I don't ever look up there because it's distracting. So I just see something pop up, and I'm like, I don't know what that is. It's just like really quick, and they're kind of tiny up there.
Yeah.
Where I did something. I'm like, oh, good.
Oh, they
Good for
list
me.
them again at the end. I mean, they don't really tell you what they're for, but you can usually kind of guess from the names.
I'll have to check it out.
But
So it sounds like we'll be talking about more SSX probably.
I love the game.
Yeah, it's really good.
I purchased it. I'm going to be playing it a lot.
All right.
I will as
I'll hold you to it.
It will be my next. It's like I got a new Big Sur, man, or Big Sur Island.
Big Surf?
Is it Big Surf Island, Paradise City.
Big Sir, you read some Kerouac?
I read some Kerouac. Whack attack.
Anything else on SSX right now? Are we good?
That should do me for now.
All right. I think that's it for us this whole episode then, right?
Good.
Oh, shut up. God. Signinpodcast.com is our website. You can check out links to our Facebook, our Twitter, or my Twitter. Where are you guys' Twitter at? Do you want to give a plug for your Twitters?
I'm at twitter.com/Shonix.
Shonix?
Twitter.com/the pull list.
All right. And I'm Sign In Podcast.
That's 3 L's in a row. Pull list.
Pullist.
Pullist.
The pullist.
The pullist.
The pullist.
The pullist.
I don't have 3
You got
S's
the
in a
accent
row.
wrong.
I
The
just one.
pullist.
Just one.
Just one.
Okay. And
list.
links to all of our past episodes, our forums, which we would love to have you join up on our forums. We've had quite a few new people in the last couple of months showing up on there, and we appreciate everybody who takes time to talk to us.
Some great contributions, yeah.
Yeah, it's been awesome. And all of the other pseudo radio shows. You can email us at comments@signedinpodcast.com. And if you get us on iTunes, which I don't know if you guys saw or not, but we got into the top 100 video game podcasts last week.
Yay for us.
Briefly. But I'll take
Half a
whatever I
second
can
before
get.
somebody said, what the fuck is that doing there?
Later.
We inched our way up there and then fell like a rock. But the even appear in there means a lot.
Yeah.
So that is really awesome. And if you're checking us out on iTunes, leave a review or at least give us a rating. That would be awesome. We would much appreciate it. Definitely. And next episode is, Mass Effect. I remember now.
SSX, what?
Mass Effect 3, mofos.
Mass SSX?
I'm going to talk about it for like 4 hours.
You always say that, and then it's like 20 minutes. It's perfect.
It'll feel like 4 hours.
Yeah, I agree on that one. I will agree on. Then you are absolutely right.
Are you going to try to get the Kinect set up?
You are
for it?
correct, sir.
I might check it out on the Kinect setup just to see. I don't know.
Do a little
I'm not
audio.
going to move it, but I might take it downstairs just to see
It's
how it
kinda
does.
fun.
How it works out. All I know is that all the fuckers ruined me getting a collector's edition of it because everybody crying about the DLC being included now. Did you see all that?
I saw something. I wasn't reading too much.
Whatever. So it has day one DLC that's like an extra character and mission and stuff, and so it's $10, which normally or last time they did that, it was included in all versions of the game.
Right.
Now it's just being included in this collector's edition, which they said ahead of time.
Yeah.
But that finally got like the details got released.
Yeah.
And so people all freaked out and clamored. So they didn't want to pay $20 more for the collector's edition before because
Isn't it sold out?
Yeah, now it is.
Oh, yeah,
because
okay.
everybody freaked out and went out and bought it.
Right.
So now I can't walk in and get it on day one like I wanted to.
Yeah.
Because I'm so against pre-orders.
Yeah.
So thanks for everybody proving me right. Or wrong, but so my thing is everybody cried about it. So it's like, I don't want to pay $20 just to get a bunch of chintzy bullshit with all your little extra add-ons bullshit. And so now they're like, it's got this DLC, and they're like, so I can pay $10 and get the DLC like normal, or I can pay $20 and get the DLC and all the chintzy bullshit I don't care about. I want that. Well, I want the metal case. Now I can't get it because everybody ruined it and cried and
You can
like
trade.
babies.
You can pay someone $10 extra.
No, but they don't. Now they're going to be like, it's worth a bunch because it's sold out.
40 of those people aren't
Then
gonna
you'll say,
come in
fuck
those
you.
Pre-orders.
Be realistic.
That's true. I'm still going midnight and seeing if they have any that weren't pre-ordered,
Yeah.
like if they just had them for stock.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to get it midnight like a baby. But seriously,
Babies don't stay up till midnight.
seriously, stop.
That's like a
have you
nerd.
been to a Walmart? There's babies all over there at midnight.
Yeah,
1 o'clock.
I agree. I've been there.
Not
I've been
wearing-
2 and 3 o'clocks in the morning back in my
Just in
insomnia
diapers.
days. Oh yeah,
If you're lucky.
walking around.
See?
That's a good point. That's a good
So
point.
anyway, thanks everybody for ruining it, being a big baby. I just wanted it for the awesome case. I don't have a problem paying $20 more, but now you all made it impossible, and don't help me say not to pre-order things.
You want me to make you
Pre-order's still a
Next
scam.
to
case?
impossible.
Then it'll be a special.
We haven't got
edition.
there yet.
Sean and I will work together. We'll make you a metal case.
But regardless, I'm playing
take
Mass
shot
Effect
glass.
3 next week, and we're going to talk about it on the next episode.
Cool.
Is anybody else playing it?
I'll play it.
You're going to play it?
I don't know if I'll get around to it or not
Okay.
because I'm going to purchase it, and so
Are you?
yeah,
But not right away.
depends on
Collector's
how
edition?
my funds are going. No, definitely not a collector's edition.
But it's only $20 and you get a metal case.
I don't fucking care about that shit.
All right.
And you get the DLC.
And I don't know. You get the DLC. It's a great deal. Anyway, whatever. So next episode, I don't know what else there'll be, but I know at least that. Mm-hmm. I don't know what else is coming out.
Stuff.
Is that it?
That's it.
Are we out of here?
I'm gone already.
Thanks, everybody.
This is my ghost.
Thank you.
Bye.
Later. Probably, maybe.
I like that one Grindcast that was actually called Grindcast, and
Oh, yeah.
then they ended in 2 episodes.
Yeah. This year. or last year, November.
Yeah.
They had 2 episodes. It was genuinely it was genuinely what we were talking about, basically.
People have the best intentions.
Because I commented, I was like, that is the fastest
Burn.
example of pod fade I have ever seen in my life. 2 weeks and we're done.
Good intentions, but
Yeah.
this is hard. It makes me feel good for us sticking it out so long.
Yeah,
Especially since it takes
We're
so much
tenacious.
work. I mean, it is a lot of work, especially for you. You come down twice every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Once every week and then an extra.
yeah. It's okay.
I know, but I'm just saying it is a lot of time.
Yeah,
It's okay.
it's okay.
I do
All the while glaring at me.
No,
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Well, there's easy ways to fix it, like, remoting it, but I don't like that.
No. Yeah,
I
exactly.
think it's a difference when we're all
Yeah,
three in the room.
teleporter.
Invent a teleporter.
That would be an easy way to
do
fix
that.
it.
Hire a clone. Hire a clone.
I was gonna say,
My clothes would be that way. My clothes, I'd have to pay them.
look,
to
I
work
know I'm
for
you, but I'm fucking doing other shit.
Yeah,
all right?
it's like, hey, I was you at that moment, and
I
now
also-
I'm me.
I also like how it wasn't make a clone, so he's just assuming that
He's already
somebody's
out there.
already making clones of it.
You know how awesome we are. I got tons of other better offers.
Hey, you got that Sean Weddy clone in? Oh, we got a ton of those.
He's an asshole.
They're on back order. We just got a whole shipment, 2 for 1. 2 for
You,
1.
more than anybody, know
Dime
how
a dozen,
awesome we are.
really.
All right, shit. Shit. Should we start this shit?
Okay.